Let's preview this season for LSU. 9-4 last year, but sort of hollow. I don't know. Some good stuff, some bad stuff. But yet, if everything comes together this year, it was okay. As long as last year leads to this year being the year, it's okay. I would agree with that. If I'm an LSU fan, I'm agreeing with that. I got my OC back. I got my quarterback back. I infused myself with some good, well-needed portal talent. And Brian Kelly's still here, and we've revamped our organization. All of that sounds good. And we got the 8th best odds to win it all. And we got the 4th best odds to win the SEC. Now, our over-under win total is 8.5, but that's because we play a tough schedule, and there's some inconsistency last year, but don't worry. It'll all be good this year. All right, well, that's the glass 3/4 of the way full approach. But I wonder, if I'm looking at biggest questions with them, can I get more balance? Obviously, if LSU is going to win it all this year, or even compete to win it all this year, they got to be more balanced offensively. They threw the ball 534 times last year and ran it 373. They were the 7th best passing attack in the country and 107th rushing. So, Garrett Nussmeier's good. Garrett Nussmeier is not an elite, transcendent type quarterback to where you should feel totally comfortable just asking him to throw the ball 50 times per game. He has no business doing that. He shouldn't be asked to do that. LSU should never be in a position to where they have to ask a quarterback to do that. They shouldn't have even had to ask Joe Burrow to do that, much less anyone else. So that's why Caden Durham is such an important player this year, but that's also why this entire concept of like a Brian Kelly team, it's not supposed to look like that. Defense is supposed to be better, but the run game is supposed to be like a pivotal part of what they do. So that's part one. Then part two, speaking of the defense, is how much do we level up this year? Because they're going to level up. I mean, Blake Baker's one of the very best in the business, so they will level up. They went 108th to 61st last year. And now they got a big portal infusion where they needed it, which was edge, which was DB. They're going to be better this year. Now, do they go from 61st to like 19th? Is it from 61st to 31st? It's somewhere in there. I feel comfortable that it's going to be somewhere in there, and that is the key. That is the key because that allows them to play the complementary style of ball that they should be able to play every year at LSU. In fact, defense should be dominant there. But that's okay. So we're on our way back. We're climbing back. So run the ball more effectively. Don't have to be elite. Just run it more effectively. Play defense at a scaled up level. Don't have to be elite yet. It would be a nice bonus. But as long as we're plus, as long as we're B or better in those areas, that's when Garrett Nussmeier can shine. That's when that wide receiver room in this offense can shine. That's when you can do some big things. Otherwise, you can't. Otherwise, they're going to be flashes, but it's still going to be inconsistent, which leads me to my third question, and that is the consistency in performance there? Because last year, you had the USC game, which was really entertaining, and I thought that game was played at a high level. There was no knock on LSU losing that game. But you had that kind of game. But then you had the Ole Miss game where you win it even though you never led in regulation. But you also got blown out by Alabama. But you went on the road and won against South Carolina, and it's just up and down and up and down. I would just love a more consistent cruising altitude version of LSU. Could be 28,000 feet, could be 32,000 feet. I just kind of want to know what I'm going to get every week. Kind of like we said with Alabama in that preview at quarterback. Just let me know what I'm going to get every week. I can coach around that. I can game plan around that. I cannot game plan around 1 week you're an A and the next week you're a C minus. That's dead on arrival as far as competing for a national championship. Hey, quick timeout. Check and see if you're subscribed to the channel. If you're not, make sure you do. It's free. It doesn't obligate you or sign you up for anything. It just helps us keep the channel free. All right, back to the show. The best position group on this team. Which one is it? I went wide receiver. You could go a few different directions with this. Obviously, you could go quarterback. I went wide receiver. Nick Anderson, if he's healthy, is a really high-level player. Aaron Anderson, Berrien Brown, Chris Hilton. I mean, there's no shortage of guys to throw the ball to here. Again, if there's a complimentary running game, just, snapping it into existence, that'd be nice. LSU should be able to move the ball down the field. If it doesn't work out for Garrett Nussmeier, it won't be because he didn't have targets to throw the ball to. The breakout player, though, not a wide receiver. I got Caden Durham as the breakout player. He's 753 yards last year, so it's not like LSU folks don't know him, but the country doesn't know him because LSU was not good at running the ball last year. But at his best, he could be a 6 yards per carry type guy. He should be a 1,000-yard caliber rusher this year. There's no reason. I know that sounds aggressive, but no, it really doesn't. It only sounds aggressive because LSU's gotten away from norms, and it always should be the case that whoever's starting at tailback for LSU, I should be able to pencil him in, if healthy, 1,000 yards. That should be the case. I know that's asking a lot, but no, it's really not asking a lot. What does the schedule look like here? We got him playing the 7th toughest schedule in the SEC. That is good for 8th toughest overall. All the toughest schedules in the country are in the SEC. Go argue with a pond. I don't care. They got at Clemson in week 1, and they got Florida at home in week 3. They could be 3-0, hottest team in the country. They could be 1-2, and everything's in pure desperation mode before the end of September. And both of those are very feasible. Very, very feasible. So that is why getting off to a hot start is imperative. Brian Kelly's talked about it. His teams have not necessarily started the fastest in the world lately. That's okay. That just means it's time to, set a new trend, if you will. Again, I go back to that week 1 against USC last year. I look at week 1 this year against Clemson. You could just schedule a tomato can. You're well within your rights to do that, but they don't. They challenge themselves, and credit to them. Got to win one of these things eventually. There's no back-to-back road game or back-to-back road stretch on this schedule. That's good. There's no bye edge. They got to bye before Bama. Bama's got to bye before them. At Bama and at OU in November, and I think Oklahoma's going to be really good this year. That is a man-maker version of an end to the season there. So let's take a look at what the model thinks here about the record outcome. So we've got LSU at their very best as an 11-1 team this year. It's a tough schedule. It's very hard to get the model to say that your best case is 12-0. 11-1 is the next best thing. That'd be plenty good enough to get you wherever you want to go in terms of postseason play. The worst case is 5-7. There is a wide range of outcomes here. Best and worst case with LSU. That's partly due to the fact that they got a pretty tough schedule. That's partly due to turnovers have still been an issue at quarterback. If you don't have that rectified, if you're not more balanced offensively, and if these portal additions just don't they don't translate, they don't gel, then there's a little bit lower floor on that kind of team than we're used to. Plus, it's the new era where no one has elite depth. So you got to recalibrate your mind for what the worst of the worst could be. And that's 5-7. The most likely, the model says, is 9-3. And 9-3 for LSU is probably a notch below what the fan base is demanding, but it may still be good enough to get you in the playoff. And if that's the case, then we saw what Ohio State did last year and get in and you could win it. And this is absolutely the kind of team that could peak later in the year. So who knows, maybe they suffer 1 or 2 losses early and then they're just surging late. 9-3, that's what the model thinks is the most likely outcome for LSU.